Last week, I had the honor of attending a leadership training event that was sponsored by the Region 7 of the ELCA, which is 6 synods in the northeastern section of the United States. About 20 of us, small group leaders, sat in a circle and we had the first round of obligatory introductions. You know how it goes. We shared about ourselves. We were asked to tell our name, where we lived, what our ministry was, the usual. But the last thing we were asked to share really threw me for a loop. And they asked, where would you be right now if you took the other road? If you were not doing what you are doing now, what would you be doing? Certainly, that's a what-if question that one can't fully answer. Maybe I would have been a math teacher, who knows? But it does give one pause. Some very important decisions we make at Crossroads affect us for a lifetime. What shall I become? What shall I study? Whom will I marry? Or do I even want to be married? Where shall I live? But as important as these big decisions seem, we face daily crossroads that may seem less significant, but also deeply affect our lives and the lives of other people. Do the gifts we give this year really reflect our values? How do we respond to conflict? Or even, what will we choose to eat today? You know, especially at this time of year, making healthy choices becomes increasingly difficult. And there are some wonderful ancient biblical stories that teach us consequences of decisions made at Crossroads. And although some of us may know the Christmas story backwards and forwards, try for a moment to see the options of the characters with new eyes. Take Joseph, for example, an ordinary guy going about his business. Would he quietly dismiss his pregnant betrothed, or would he accept the responsibility of raising the child as his own? Mary really didn't have to graciously accept the messenger's words. Or take the story of Zechariah and Elizabeth, one of my favorites. It's recorded in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, and doesn't usually make it into our lectionary. To remind you, Zechariah and Elizabeth were righteous, faithful people. They followed God's laws faithfully. He was a priest in the temple. They were also childless and up in years without any real chance of holding their own kids on their laps, which was an unfortunate situation in a culture that valued having many children. Well, one day, Zechariah hits the priestly lottery. It's the priestly Powerball, because his section of priests was on duty, and his name was selected to offer incense in the holy place, becoming the closest person anyone in Israel could ever come to the presence of God. Bingo! Well, if Zechariah couldn't have any kids, at least he was given this honor that most priests only dream of. And while in that place, in that most holy place, the angel messenger Gabriel met him with some astounding news. Elizabeth, his wife, remember she was up in years, would bear a son who will prepare the people for the coming of the Lord. Oh, and you will name him John, which means the Lord is kind, and never mind that no one in your family has this name. Zechariah is at a crossroads. Which direction will he go? What is his response? Acceptance? Disbelief? Fear? Well, if you look in the Gospel of Luke, his doubtful answer was not really out of the ordinary. He says to the angel, "How will I know this is so? I'm an old man. My wife is getting up in years." As a reward for his mistrust, the priest was not able to speak until the child was born. And then he wrote for all to know, "His name is John." Being struck mute is not often a consequence for doubt. But not fully trusting in God's promises can hold us back in other ways. Every day, we are faced with crossroads, with decisions that affect our lives and the lives of others. Dare we choose to place our trust in God to help guide our decisions and our responses? We have been given a promise. We are not alone on this journey. The incarnated God promises to come into our world and into our lives. In this holy season of preparation, may we each have the wisdom to listen to God's message of deep, gracious love, and with the help of God, accept it with anticipation, trusting in the promise that Christ has come into this world, that Christ has died, Christ is risen, and Christ will come again and again and again. I can't wait. Amen.